So this is just going to be a short 20-minute video on the Harrison L6 metal lathe that I have. I do apologise, it's not exactly sparkling at the moment. I've been using it for the Par-Weld welder trolley parts. When I purchased this machine, I purchased it from a gentleman in Castleford. He owns a machinery tool company called Toolz for You. I did mention him in the second trolley video. I will put a link to the description to his website in below. So when this machine arrived, I didn't really have much history about the machine. I didn't know much about it. We did use them at college, so I knew where everything was, knew what everything did, knew the basics of the machine. It didn't look like this when I purchased it. I will put some pictures in as we're going through. It's been completely stripped of its paint. When I bought it, it was green. It had been painted green really badly by somebody. If you're out there and you're watching this video, I do apologise for insulting you, but the paint job was terrible when I purchased it. I think they just used a yard brush, to be honest. So, and there was a few things I wanted to change. There is a bit of a design flaw with these lathes in here where the belt drive is, which is, you can see the belts are at the back. If you put any chain lube on these gears, they end up contaminating your drive belts, and then it can slip, or even worse, it can get into your phosphor bronze wear plates in your clutch, your friction plates, which isn't great. It didn't have this speed chart on the top when I purchased it. Managed to get that from lathes.co.uk, so I'll put a link to that website in the description. Really nice chap, knew his stuff, knew exactly which one I needed. He sells user manuals, things like that. I bought a user manual for this and for the milling machine. There's a few things, the handle was a bit wobbly, so I've done alterations to it, put grub screws in. This whole machine has been completely stripped down to every last nut, bolt and washer. We've had all the gears out the main gearbox. We've completely redone the tail stock. There's now no play in that at all. All the lead screws have been cleaned. Just down here, there was a really horrible looking 1980s style electric box, which we've since replaced. We've had a few little bits and pieces that still do need touching up, like when we're moving it, etc. These are used as strapping points, so there's a bit of wear around there where the ratchet straps have been through, so it does just need a bit of touching up. But like anything, once it's been restored, you need to run it for a bit, see if there's anything that rears its head. We've had no massive issues as yet, and we've made a few parts from it. So this starter panel was made from scratch out of a piece of 3/8 thick aluminium. Wanted to incorporate the socket caps like the rest of the machine. Wanted to keep it all in keeping. The left hand side is the feed for the lathe motor, and the right hand side is for the coolant pump, which will be wired up in the end. We have got a feed to the end, so it's just a case of putting the tank in and the pump. I'd like to make some little aluminium caps that go in here with a counterboard for a socket cap, and then a little plate on the back. If you take this off, you can get two in there. Obviously installed an emergency stop. Some people might say it's not in the best place. Really could have done with one maybe at the top of the machine, a bit higher up, easier to get to, but it's just at the right height for my knee, so if anything is going wrong, I can touch that. You can't turn the coolant pump on until the lathe motor is going, which is a bit of a handy thing. You can't press the wrong one by mistake and get covered in coolant. We've rubbed the whole machine down. Did have a problem with it before. Did have rather squeaky hinges, so I have cross drilled these on the drill. Put a grease nipple port at the top. Still waiting for some more paint to come so I can just paint those red. Ordered some more red paint. Picked out the Harrison here. Took a bit of patience with cotton bud and a small jar of red paint, but I think that finishes it off. I also installed a original latch, which I managed to find, so that fits in there how it should. Just waiting on some rubber matting to go in there, just to put lathe tools in, and the faceplate, chuck key when I'm not using it, a few bits and pieces. But, it's a good surface finish. I'm happy with the way it's been painted. I know obviously it's a bit different from the cast to the fabricated metal, but it's just one of those things really. I mean, I didn't want to go too in depth with the restoration of it. You could have rubbed all this down and filled it in 1000 grit wet and dry and done that, but I was happy with how it is. At the end of the day, it's there to be used, but I wanted it to be in good condition so I don't have to go back to it. There is a few little niggly bits what I just like to sort out, but obviously been through all the gearbox, the speeds and feeds, everything works, everything's where it should be. I'm awaiting a 4-jaw 160mm chuck. It's just got a 3-jaw TOS chuck that was on it when I bought it. Just stripped it down, cleaned it, repacked it with grease. Awaiting on a new tool post, quick change tool post. Not the cheapest things. I mean, you're going to pay £190 for a decent Bison one, and then they're going to be £40 or £50 for the tool holders. And I've got about 25 tools. They're a bit chunkier, they're the 20mm ones. So I mean, I'm not going to use all 25. I think you limit that down to about half a dozen, but when you're buying half a dozen of the tool holders, they're not cheap. So everything has been looked at. There's nothing that's been ignored. I have put a new bulkhead fitting in the back, so that I can feed for the coolant. The only thing I am looking for is a replacement plastic knob to screw on the end of the gear change. Would like to leave them all plastic if I can, because obviously that's how it came. I've had a few people say you can buy some brass ones that you can thread yourself and thread on, and I might do that. Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to just make the look a bit better. So I bought this about 6 months ago. Managed to go straight up to see Toolz for You and fetch it on the, I think I inquired about it on the Monday. I could go and fetch it on the Saturday. The lad that works there and owns it, Ben, fantastic. Couldn't recommend him anymore really. I mean, everything that I've ever wanted is at the end of the phone. Also purchased this 9" by 5" wide adjustable vise for the pillar drill. I didn't buy the pillar drill from Ben. I bought that from another chap in Leicester called BW Machine Tools. I will put a link to his eBay page and to his website as well. Both fantastic people to sell us to buy from on eBay. And if you've ever got anything that you want to get rid of, they're both open to increasing their stock list. I mean, I have offered a few things to Ben, and if he can sell it, then he'll do a deal. He's a fantastic lad. So if anyone wants anything from engineer squares, chucks, chuck keys, drill bits, you name it, Ben will have it on the shelf. I mean, I'm inundated, as you can see, with drill bits, Morse taper drill bits up to over 2 inches in diameter from another eBay bargain. I got that just for the weight of the scrap, so I paid about £35. I had to go and fetch the drill bits, which wasn't the end of the world, but just on a rough count, I must have over 1,000 drill bits for the £35, so that was a bit of a bargain. But back to the lathe. I had a Warco before, which was a variable speed drive. I had that from when I was 17. So I had that quite a few years, like 5 or 6 years. Got on with it fine. For the smaller stuff it was okay, but when you're trying to skim brake discs up and stuff and brake drums, I was really looking for a gap bed lathe. That's what the thing was. So it was sort of one of the key characteristics I was looking for really in a lathe. It had to have a gap bed. Do skim quite a lot of brake drums up, bits and pieces. So that was quite crucial that we got a lathe with a gap bed. Not really sure what's happening with the camera at the moment. One thing I will say with when you're purchasing a lathe, you got to factor in the collection. Obviously I didn't have to factor that in. I obviously got a trailer, I could go and fetch it. This isn't the lightest machine in the world. I had to have a machine in to move it back, get it off the trailer. I had a couple of friends around, 5 or 6 big bits of round bar. You can soon roll it around, but if you're in a garden shed, it's probably not the best sort of size. If you've got a wooden floor, I wouldn't advise it. This is a concrete floor in the workshop, so it wants to be something quite substantial really. It's got to weigh over half a ton, easily, 3/4 of a ton to be honest. They're old machines, they are fantastic for the money, but you have to think, do you need a machine of that size? That Walko I had was great, but the size stuff I was doing had to get a bit more of a machine that was a bit more versatile. The Imperial side of it was what I was after as well. Wasn't so bothered about a metric machine. Lots of the stuff I make for other projects I like to stick to Imperial anyway. So that's just one of the things to factor in when you're buying a machine. I went from like a small bench mounted 240 volt machine. This is 240 volt still, which has got a 240 volt motor in it, single phase, but you have to factor in how you're going to use it. If you really want one, just keep doing what I did, chuck a bit of money away every month. You will soon, one will pop up at the right time. My Walko, the cross slide was always dodgy from the second I bought it. I bought it brand new. I paid nearly £2,500 for the machine when it was brand new with everything in it. It was a good size machine. I did manage to sell it on, and I kept a few of the bits and pieces from it, but it was playing up. I had lots of trouble with the apron sticking. The lead screws on them weren't fantastic. They're just Chinese made really. They're not as well built as these. They're not made in England. I don't think the accuracy is there, and the repeatability of making parts. If you made a part a year down the line, is it still going to be as good? I just couldn't get on with the Walko, so that's why it went, and that's why I went back to a bigger English machine. Obviously, if you don't need a big machine like this, don't go out and buy one. But my Walko went on the Saturday, and then I found this one on eBay on the Monday. So they are out there. Ben, if you speak to Ben at Toolz for You and say the sort of size you're after, he'll be able to get you one. There is no doubt about that. He has a wide range of everything from milling machines, pillar drills, cut-off saws, a lot of electric stuff as well. So like your insulated tools, there's quite a lot of them if you search through his page. If you need... Don't really know what happened there. I was happily recording away, and something technical difficulties there. So just uploading a few pictures now on the end of the video of what the machine looked like when it started. You can see that the original green paint didn't adhere to the grey very well, but after a few coats of thinners and wire brush, it soon came off. I don't think it was an actual metal paint that was used. There was no undercoat used or anything. I think it was just straight on top. So this is in its rubbed down state. It's been rubbed down now and degreased. All the machine surfaces were covered in some in masking tape, and some were covered in frog tape, which I found very good for getting a nice crisp edge ready for its undercoat. The coat we put on first was an etch primer. As you can see, it was a yellow. Wanted to get a grey, but they didn't have any on the shelf, so this sort of Sahara gold was okay. I think it had 3 coats of the grey top coat, which you're seeing now. Really pleased with the finish, to say how good it looks with the casting and the fabricated base. I was very pleased with it. It was definitely worthwhile taking it back to this, removing all the mechanical parts. This is the gearbox lid, which is in the etch priming stage, and going through to the louvres on the end underneath the tailstock, which just lets the air circulate into the coolant motor. This of course is the belt drive, the guard where all the gears are in the end. That one did take quite a lot of rubbing down and preparation to get a good mirror finish. Didn't want that to show the rest of the machine up, with it being a focal point when you see it. That's only the undercoat, and obviously you can see the finish coat at the end. Would definitely advise anybody, if they've got their own machine, they've got the ability to do this. It's not only very satisfying, but yeah, it adds immense value to your machine. It makes it very appealing if you were ever going to sell it, if ever you didn't need it anymore, or ever you changed hobbies, for instance. It makes it very saleable, having it in tip-top condition, and like anything really, I mean, that's the finish I've managed to achieve on the end of the door. Here is the lathe. As you can see, used some casters to get it into the workshop. Wanted to leave most of the small parts till the end, make it as light as possible for it to be moved into the workshop. Those casters could take about 400 kilos each, so they were more than capable of carrying the load. So that's pretty much it for the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.